An emergency broadcast reports the outbreak of a violent virus at an airport. Infected individuals become aggressive, causing chaos, and within months the virus has spread globally. These infected people, called ferals, behave like zombies. As governments try to contain the situation, public protests erupt. Some claim ferals are still human. The military is deployed, tensions rise, and society collapses. One day, Abigail and her brother receive a call from their pilot father. He promises to keep them safe. But moments later, a noise upstairs sends the family fleeing. Outside, a feral attacks and kills their mother. Abigail hides under a car, witnessing her brother attacked too. As a police siren approaches, the feral runs away. Abigail's mother, now transformed, finishes off her brother. As Abigail sobs, her mother turns toward her. But before she can attack, a man named Cassius shoots her. Abigail hugs him in gratitude. Her brother starts turning as well, so Cassius gently asks Abigail to close her eyes, then shoots him too. 10 years later, the world is overgrown and desolate. Teenaged Abigail lives and hunts with Cassius in the forest. During a hunt, she kills a deer, but is scolded for being impatient. At night, they set camp with tripwires for safety. One night, a wire is triggered. Cassius finds traces of movement and barely manages to shoot a feral before it attacks. Fearing a larger group is nearby, they leave. They continue traveling, and one afternoon they spot a car. A man is fending off ferals. Abigail fires to help, but accidentally wounds the man. Cassius kills the remaining ferals, then Mercy kills the man and takes his boots. Abigail hears a voice on the car's radio, but Cassius tells her to ignore it. Soon, more vehicles arrive. A group surrounds them, thinking Cassius and Abigail killed the man for supplies. Tension builds, but a pregnant woman named Megan steps in to calm things. Just then, the horses panic. A feral horde attacks. A chaotic fight begins. Cassius and Abigail hold their own with blades, while others rely on guns. Ferals break through and kill the group one by one. A Molotov lands on a car, causing an explosion that knocks Cassius back. The group leader is killed brutally by a large feral. David, Megan's husband, is attacked but survives. Abigail helps Megan and David into a car. Cassius finishes off a few more ferals before joining. As they drive away, a feral clings to the roof. Cassius breaks hard to throw it off, and Abigail grabs their belongings before they speed off. The large feral, who had a mate among the dead, screams in rage. On the road, Abigail checks their supplies. They've lost most of their ammo. Megan explains they were heading to a riverside colony. She's 35 weeks pregnant. Cassius and Abigail are skeptical. They've seen colonies fail. Then the car breaks down. They continue on foot and reach an abandoned town to rest. Inside a building, they check for threats and set up camp. Megan offers food, but Cassius refuses, to avoid infection. The couple says the colony has doctors and supplies. It's a week away. Abigail says she and Cassius aim to reach the coast and find a boat to escape to the islands. Cassius shows them a map and suggests a route, but he won't go. He thinks the horde will return. Abigail argues with him, insisting they help. Cassius refuses. That night, the horde finds the wrecked car and follows the trail. Meanwhile, Cassius and David bond. Cassius shows him the bullet he keeps in case he's bitten. David shows his only possession, a cigarette, and lies about having a twisted ankle. Cassius agrees to help them reach the colony. The next morning, Abigail hears a noise. A feral attacks, and she kills it with a machete. Another chases her upstairs. She throws it out a window but nearly falls herself. Cassius catches her just in time. As the horde arrives, they've already left. A wire trap kills one feral. Later, Abigail recognizes the area. Her father had a plane at a civil airport nearby. Cassius objects. Airports attract danger and the plane is likely gone. But the others vote to go. On the way, they find a shot man in a car. Cassius checks for supplies while Abigail enters a building and unknowingly misses a hiding family. Cassius finds a wheelchair in the trunk for Megan. As they leave, the horde arrives and slaughters the hidden family. At the airport, no planes are visible until Abigail finds her father's hangar, and a working plane. David can repair it. Cassius and Abigail search the building. She finds a picture of herself and her dad and hangs it back up. Then the horde arrives. The group scrambles onto the plane. David manually turns the propeller while Cassius fires to delay the horde. Abigail struggles to fly but figures it out. As the plane accelerates, a feral clings to the door. Cassius shoots it off. The plane lifts off. But it doesn't stay airborne long. It fails and crashes into trees. Fortunately, they survive. They find a train station to rest. Cassius checks their map. The colony is 2 days away. Abigail counts ammo. They're nearly out. Cassius and Megan talk. She reminds him of his late wife, who took her own life after losing her family. He tells a story of a bitten boy in his town. It took days for him to turn. Meanwhile, David checks his ankle in private. It's a bite, not a sprain. He considers ending his life but can't. The group sets off again. David weakens. Cassius sees blood and confronts him. He gives David a chance to confess or be shot later. That evening, they find a lit house. Abigail approaches and pleads for help. A man named Norton answers, asks them to leave their weapons outside, and welcomes them in. He's kind, offers food, and says he built power and hot water systems. He vaguely mentions a wife but avoids questions. Abigail showers. Cassius checks old photos of his pregnant wife. Megan confides in him. She hasn't felt the baby move. She makes Cassius promise to protect the child. Norton shares drinks and speaks bitterly about humanity's fall. He calls the virus a form of evolution. Cassius notices a strange knife, which Norton hides. David, worsening, goes to the bathroom and sees the infection spreading. When he returns, he finds everyone unconscious. Norton, now in a lab coat, uses a machine that emits painful noise only infecteds can hear, knocking David out. The horde reaches the train station and keeps moving. David wakes tied up in a basement. Norton takes notes. This is an experiment. His infected wife is in a cage. Norton lets her out and uses the device to control her. She attacks the group. Cassius and Abigail fend her off, and she targets David. He breaks free and fights her, but Norton disables him with the machine. David, not fully turned, pushes through and frees the others. Cassius grabs a gun and fires at Norton. The group locks the door behind them. Abigail takes Norton's car keys, and they retrieve their gear. Cassius punches David but is convinced not to shoot. Megan's water breaks. As they escape, Norton watches them leave while his wife snarls. In the forest, the horde catches up. They spot lights. The colony. The car can't pass a fallen tree, so they go on foot. The horde closes in. They shoot back, but David runs out of bullets. Knowing he'll turn soon, he tells them to leave. Cassius gives him his bullet. David smokes his last cigarette and takes on the horde. He kills a few, but the big feral snaps his neck. Abigail covers Cassius, who carries Megan. She yells for help. Guards at the colony hear her and shoot the ferals. The remaining horde retreats. The group enters the colony, and Megan is taken to the infirmary. The next morning, Cassius tells Abigail they should leave. She refuses. She's tired of running. The midwife informs Cassius the baby is okay, but Megan won't survive. Megan names her daughter Hope, gives Cassius her locket, and dies. Meanwhile, Norton finds the carnage and sees the colony. He uses his device to control the horde and marches for revenge. Cassius cares for Hope. Abigail befriends local teens and joins a party. 2 guards pass out and some teens enter a tunnel. Abigail follows and finds a remote. Roderick stops her. The entire colony is wired with explosives to be detonated if needed. Survivors can escape through a hatch to a dam. The next morning, Norton arrives and kills 2 guards. He unleashes the horde. Chaos erupts. Abigail saves Roderick and organizes defense. Armed teens take position, and Roderick leads others to the dam. Cassius gives the baby to the midwife and searches for Abigail. Ammo runs low. The colony leader is killed. Abigail and Cassius reunite and fight together. When Cassius sees Norton, he's distracted and tackled by a feral. He stabs it and confronts Norton, who kicks him. Cassius fights back and smashes Norton's device, then rejoins Abigail. Ferals tear Norton apart. At the dam, survivors beg Roderick to trigger the explosives. He hesitates, waiting for Abigail. Inside the colony, Cassius hits the big feral with an oar. Abigail sees its bracelet and realizes it's her father. Frozen in shock, Cassius pulls her to the hatch. They escape just before the blast destroys the colony and every feral in it. Later, an infected man among the survivors panics. A feral jumps in and kills him, then attacks Cassius. They wrestle until Abigail fires at the right moment. The survivors watch the burning colony. Abigail says they'll rebuild at the dam. Cassius shows her Norton's notebook. Inside are instructions for building a generator.